I'm back. I took a break because I just wasn't putting out very high quality videos, and I really felt like I should be putting out better stuff for you guys. So here we go. This one should be better. You want to start off with a sheer base color. I mixed my own. I used a little bit of Seche Vite and some black polish, just a few drops, and I mixed it together. The Seche Vite is self-leveling, so it won't be streaky. Once you do that, you're going to take 3 colors. I used acrylic paint. It just works better, but you can do this with polish also. So you want to take your rose color, and then you're going to use a black and a white. And then there's a little bit of water so that you can thin it out if you need to. So just take a small dot of the black polish or paint and mix it with your rose color. I decided to use pink. And really you want it to be kind of dark, but it's going to dry darker, so don't get too dark with it. But it's really just supposed to be a shadow color, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So go ahead and just put some random round shapes. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to cover it with petals, and just get them wherever you want it to be. You know, keep in mind you don't want to cluster too many together, because then it may not look good. So just a few at a time, maybe a cluster of 2 or 3 or one by itself. Just play around with it and see what you get, and just follow through, because it tends to look messy, but when you get to the end you'll really be happy with it. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to lay down the basic petal shapes, and you want to kind of vary your brush pressure. Like when you first start, you want it to be kind of light, and then you want to press down on the brush towards the middle of the stroke, and then lift up a little bit towards the end, so it's kind of tapered on both ends. And you don't want these to be random, random lines and shapes and curves. Kind of, if you can't imagine what a rose would look like, look at one. Look up a picture of a rose and see how the petals fit together. And that's kind of how you want to put these in. You know, it takes practice. This isn't the first time that I've painted roses, and if you're not sure, just watch somebody else paint them. I actually learned through Robin Moses. You can find her here on YouTube. She's really good. So just keep laying down your petal shapes, and these can take up most of your roses, but you don't want to completely cover the shadow color. And next thing you want to do is you want to mix a little bit of white so you get 1 or 2 shades lighter, and do the same thing, except don't completely cover that first bit that you did. You want it to be half the size, if that makes sense. Like, don't cover it completely, but cover the outside half. And then each time you mix more white into the original color that you have on your palette, you're gonna cover a smaller area of the outside of each petal, to where it looks like each petal gets lighter as it gets to the tip, and that creates the illusion of shadows and highlights. And really you're just going over the same lines over and over again with thinner and thinner strokes. If you find that you can't get your strokes thin enough, that your petals are kind of flooding or overflowing, they just don't look thin, you can put just a little bit of water on the tip of your brush, and then try to mix it in with some of the paint. You don't want it to be too thin, because then it'll flood anyway. So just try and play around with it, and if you can't get it to paint right, it just means that your paint is too thick. So you want to keep going, add some more white each time it dries, and you go to do a new layer, add more white, thinner strokes. If you have to, move to a thinner brush. That's what I ended up having to do. And just the more depth that you want to have, the more times you're going to add more white, and the thinner your strokes are going to get. If you don't want a whole lot of depth, you can just use 2 or 3 colors. As you can see, I've already switched to my thinner brush. And you have to excuse, my strokes are kind of sloppy. It's really hard to do something this controlled and detailed at the angle you have to do it if you want to film it. Because when you're painting your own nails, you're kind of leaning over them, and moving your hands around at different angles and things like that, and it's really hard to do if you're trying to film something. And as you can see, I don't exactly have the best angle because my index finger got cut off. So anyway, as you get to the white, you kind of just want to be really sparing with the white, and you can actually make it a little spotty as you go because it'll just add to the realism of your rose petals. Don't overdo the white, as I did a little bit here, because then it kind of takes away from the natural look that you have, the natural color transition. But again, as I said, it's pretty hard to do at the angle and not be able to move your hand each time you go in a different direction. So this is just to give you a general idea of how they're done. I top coated with my sesh. You can top coat with a matte top coat. They look great with a matte top coat. I prefer them with a matte top coat, but just for time purposes, I didn't show the top coat with the matte, just the sesh. Anyway, I hope this made sense, and I hope you learned how to do the roses today.